always act like you're the best, nobody is above you, is not about becoming arrogant, disrespectful, or believing you are better than everyone else. It is about building the inner confidence to respect yourself, trust your ability, and stop giving other people control over your sense of worth. Every day, you meet people who seem more successful, more confident, more experienced, or more respected. You may feel nervous around them. You may compare yourself. You may wait for their approval before believing in your own decisions. But what if you could learn from them without feeling inferior? In this audiobook, you will learn how to build confidence through discipline, improve your skills, face challenges with self-respect, speak with control, raise your standards, learn from others without losing yourself, and prove your ability through consistent results. Stay with this entire message, because the real change begins when you stop asking whether you are good enough and start building evidence that you can become better every day. Chapter 1. Believe in yourself before seeking approval. Your life changes when you stop waiting for other people to confirm your worth. Confidence becomes stronger when you learn to trust your own judgment and accept responsibility for your own choices. Nobody is above you as a human being, and nobody needs to give you permission to become better. There is an important difference between confidence and arrogance. Arrogance says you are better than everyone else. Confidence says you are capable of learning, improving, and handling responsibility without needing constant approval. That difference matters because real confidence does not require you to put another person down. It allows you to respect other people while still respecting yourself. Many people spend years looking for approval before they act. They ask friends whether their decision is good. They wait for family members to support their plans. They look at other people's reactions before deciding how seriously to take themselves. This habit can quietly weaken your judgment because every outside opinion becomes more important than your own responsibility. The more often you need approval, the harder it becomes to make decisions independently. Start noticing how often you seek permission in ordinary situations. You may want to apply for a better job, but wait for someone to tell you that you are ready. You may want to learn a new skill, but worry that people will laugh at your first attempts. You may have a useful idea at work, but remain silent because someone more experienced is in the room. These moments are small, but they reveal how much control you have given to other people's opinions. There is a practical way to change this. Before asking anyone for an opinion, write down your own decision first. Explain what you want to do, why you want to do it, what could go wrong, and what you will do if the result is not what you expected. This simple habit forces your mind to work before it receives outside information. You can still ask for advice later, but you will be asking from a position of responsibility rather than dependence. You also need to understand that confidence is built through evidence. You cannot simply repeat positive statements and expect deep confidence to appear. Your mind becomes more willing to trust you after you repeatedly prove that you keep your promises to yourself. Every time you finish a task you said you would finish, your self-trust grows. Every time you avoid an important responsibility, your self-trust becomes weaker. This is why small commitments matter so much. Promise yourself that you will read 10 pages each evening, practice a useful skill for 20 minutes, arrive at work prepared, or complete one important task before checking your phone. Then keep that promise. The task does not need to be impressive. What matters is that your behavior teaches your mind that your words have value. There is another lesson that many people miss. Your confidence is affected by how you explain your failures to yourself. A person makes one mistake and says, "I am not good at this." Another person makes the same mistake and says, "My method was weak, so I need a better method." The first statement attacks identity. The second statement examines behavior. The second approach creates room for improvement. Learn to separate yourself from your mistakes. You can make a poor decision without being a poor person. You can perform badly without becoming a failure. You can lack a skill without lacking potential. This does not mean avoiding responsibility. It means taking responsibility for the exact problem instead of creating a larger judgment about yourself. What did I control today? What did I fail to control today? What will I do differently next time? These questions keep your attention on useful information. They also prevent you from wasting hours replaying an uncomfortable moment without learning anything from it. You will discover that confidence grows faster through action than through endless self-analysis. A person can spend an entire evening thinking about becoming more confident and still avoid the conversation that requires confidence. Another person can feel nervous, speak clearly, make a mistake, correct it, and learn from the experience. The second person has gained something real. This is especially important in professional life. Someone may have a higher position, more experience, more money, or greater public recognition. You can respect their experience without treating yourself as less valuable. Their position gives them a different responsibility. It does not make you less capable of learning, contributing, or improving. Respect people for what they have earned, but do not turn respect into submission. A skilled manager may know more about management than you do. A successful business owner may understand business better than you do. An experienced teacher may know more about a subject than you do. That is useful information. Learn from them. Ask better questions. Study their methods. But do not decide that their success means your own growth is impossible. One of the strongest signs of confidence is the ability to learn from someone without feeling small beside them. Insecure people often resist correction because they believe admitting weakness will reduce their value. Strong people do the opposite. They want accurate feedback because accurate feedback gives them something they can improve. There is a simple way to practice this. The next time someone corrects your work, do not defend yourself immediately. Listen carefully. Ask what specifically should be changed. Ask what a better result would look like. Then make the correction. This teaches you to value useful information more than the temporary comfort of being right. Your emotional response will also teach you something. You may notice heat in your face, tension in your chest, a faster heartbeat, or an urge to explain yourself. Do not treat these feelings as proof that you are being disrespected. They are signs that the situation matters to you. Give yourself a few seconds before responding. A calm response is often more powerful than a quick defense. Confidence also requires accepting that some people will not approve of you. This is not a problem you can completely solve. People judge through their own experiences, fears, preferences, and expectations. You can behave honestly and still disappoint someone. You can work hard and still receive criticism. You can make a responsible decision and still hear someone say that you should have chosen differently. The goal is not to make everyone approve of you. The goal is to become someone whose decisions are based on clear values and sound reasoning. That requires knowing what matters to you. Write down the qualities you want to be known for. You might choose reliability, honesty, discipline, patience, courage, or continuous learning. Then use those qualities to judge your behavior. This creates an internal standard. Without an internal standard, your behavior changes according to the room you are in. You act confident around supportive people and uncertain around critical people. You work hard when someone is watching and relax your standards when nobody is present. Your character becomes dependent on the audience. A stronger approach is to ask yourself one question at the end of each day. Did my actions match the person I said I wanted to become? This question is more useful than asking whether everyone liked you. Approval measures other people's reactions. Character measures your own behavior. You should also stop confusing attention with respect. Someone praising you does not automatically mean you are growing. Someone criticizing you does not automatically mean you are failing. Both praise and criticism can contain useful information, and both can contain very little value. Your job is to examine the evidence. Suppose you complete a project and someone says you did an excellent job. Enjoy the encouragement, but also inspect the work. What worked? What could still improve? What did you learn? Now suppose someone says your work was poor. Do not automatically accept that judgment either. Ask for specific examples. Look at the result. Compare it with the required standard. Then decide what deserves correction. This habit protects you from two common problems. The first is becoming dependent on praise. The second is becoming controlled by criticism. Both problems give other people too much power over your emotional state. You can strengthen your independence by making more small decisions without asking for approval. Choose your schedule. Decide which task deserves your attention first. Select the book you need to study. Plan your exercise time. Organize your workspace. Decide what information deserves your attention. These choices may appear ordinary, but they train your ability to direct yourself. Self-direction becomes especially important during difficult periods. There will be days when nobody encourages you. There will be mornings when you feel tired before the work begins. There will be moments when your progress is too small for anyone else to notice. Those moments reveal whether your standards belong to you or whether they depend on outside recognition. A useful practice is to keep a private record of your daily commitments. At night, write down what you promised yourself and whether you completed it. Do not create a complicated system. Use a simple page with 3 sections: what I said I would do, what I actually did, what I will correct tomorrow. This record gives you honest evidence about your behavior. Do not use the record to attack yourself. Use it to improve your accuracy. A person who constantly exaggerates their discipline cannot improve it because they do not see the real problem. A person who honestly admits that they wasted 2 hours can change the schedule that allowed those 2 hours to disappear. There is another powerful lesson here. You do not need to feel confident before taking responsible action. Confidence often appears after action because action gives you evidence. A new employee may feel uncertain during the first week. After preparing carefully, completing tasks, asking useful questions, and learning from mistakes, that uncertainty begins to decrease. Experience creates evidence, and evidence creates trust. This means you should stop making confidence a requirement for starting. Let competence develop through practice. Let courage develop through repeated exposure to uncomfortable situations. Let judgment improve through real decisions. You do not need to wait until you feel ready to behave responsibly. Start with the area where you currently doubt yourself the most. Maybe it is speaking, maybe it is work, maybe it is managing money, maybe it is learning, maybe it is setting boundaries. Choose one area and create a measurable practice. If speaking is the problem, speak once during every meeting. If organization is the problem, plan tomorrow before going to bed. If skill is the problem, practice for 30 minutes every day. The measurement matters because vague goals create vague behavior. Saying, "I need more confidence," does not tell you what to do today. Saying, "I will speak once in the next meeting," gives you a clear action. Saying, "I need to become disciplined," is too broad. Saying, "I will complete my most important task before checking entertainment apps," gives you a behavior you can measure. Your environment also influences your self-belief. Pay attention to the people around you. Some people constantly discourage effort. They make fun of ambition. They treat improvement as unnecessary. They remind you of old mistakes whenever you try something new. You do not need to hate these people, but you do need to recognize the effect of repeated negative feedback. At the same time, do not surround yourself only with people who praise everything you do. That creates another problem. You need people who respect you enough to tell you the truth. A useful relationship contains honesty and respect. The right person does not make you feel worthless when you make a mistake. They help you see the mistake clearly and encourage you to correct it. This is where mature confidence becomes different from pride. Pride protects an image. Confidence protects growth. Pride says, "I must look capable." Confidence says, "I must become capable." That single difference can change the way you approach work, learning, relationships, and failure. You can practice this distinction today. The next time you do not know something, say so without embarrassment. Then find the answer. The next time you make a mistake, admit it without creating excuses. Then correct it. The next time you receive useful criticism, listen without rushing to defend yourself. These behaviors may feel uncomfortable at first, but they build genuine strength. You also need to stop using other people's achievements as evidence against yourself. Someone else's success tells you what another person has accomplished. It does not tell you what you are capable of accomplishing. Study their habits instead of envying their position. Ask what skills they developed, what choices they made, how they used their time, and what problems they learned to solve. This changes comparison into education. You see someone speaking confidently, and instead of saying, "I could never do that," you study how they communicate. You notice their preparation. You notice their pace. You notice how they organize their ideas. Then you practice one skill at a time. The same principle applies to financial success, fitness, career growth, and personal discipline. Do not compare your current results with another person's finished results. Compare your current behavior with the behavior required for better results. That comparison gives you something you can actually control. You will also need patience with yourself. Personal growth rarely follows a straight line. Some days you will perform well. Other days you will return to an old habit. The important question is how quickly you notice and correct the problem. A disciplined person is not someone who never makes mistakes. A disciplined person reduces the time between recognizing a mistake and taking corrective action. That is why your daily reset matters. Do not allow one poor morning to become a poor day. Do not allow one poor day to become a poor week. The moment you notice that you are moving away from your standard, return to the next useful action. Make the call, finish the task, clean the desk, read the page, apologize where necessary, prepare for tomorrow. Small corrections protect long-term progress. There is also a quiet form of confidence that comes from becoming comfortable with your own company. You should be able to spend time alone without needing constant entertainment or approval. Use some of that time to review your choices. Ask what you are learning. Ask where you are wasting time. Ask which habit is producing the weakest results. Honest self-review becomes easier when you are not constantly distracted by other people's opinions. Try spending 10 quiet minutes each evening without your phone. Sit with a notebook and review the day. Notice where you acted with courage. Notice where you avoided responsibility. Notice where you allowed someone else's opinion to control you. Then choose one behavior to improve tomorrow. Do not try to change everything at once. Confidence becomes stronger through repeated success with manageable commitments. Pick one promise and keep it for 7 days. Then add another. This gives your mind a history of evidence. You begin to see yourself as someone who can make a decision and follow through. Eventually, this changes how you enter a room. You do not need to announce your confidence. You do not need to dominate conversations. You do not need to prove that you are important. You simply listen carefully, speak clearly, do your work, accept correction, and maintain your standards. That is what it means to act like you are the best without pretending that you know everything. You become serious about your own development while remaining willing to learn. You respect experienced people without placing them above you as human beings. You recognize your weaknesses without turning them into permanent labels. Your strongest competition is not the person sitting beside you. It is the version of you that keeps choosing comfort over growth. Every day gives you evidence about which version you are building. The decision appears in ordinary moments. You either keep your promise or break it. You either learn from correction or defend yourself. You either take responsibility or create an excuse. Start measuring those moments. Your confidence does not need to be loud. It needs to be reliable. Let your actions become proof that you can trust yourself. Let your preparation speak before your words do. Let your mistakes become lessons instead of labels. Let other people's opinions become information rather than commands. Nobody needs to tell you that you are capable of improving. You prove it through the work you do today. You prove it through the standards you keep when nobody is watching. You prove it by learning from people who know more than you, while refusing to believe that their success makes your growth less important. Stand with respect. Work with discipline. Learn without embarrassment. Decide without constant approval. Correct yourself without self-hatred. Keep improving even during ordinary days. That is how self-belief becomes real. It stops being something you say about yourself and becomes something your daily behavior demonstrates. Chapter 2. Build confidence through daily personal discipline. Confidence becomes stronger through what you repeatedly do, not through what you repeatedly tell yourself. A person can speak positively all morning and still feel uncertain by evening because their daily behavior gives them no evidence to trust themselves. Personal discipline changes that relationship. Each completed responsibility gives your mind a reason to believe that you can depend on yourself. Discipline is often misunderstood as forcing yourself to work all day without rest. Real discipline is more practical. It means deciding what deserves your attention and following that decision even after your mood changes. Your feelings can change several times during one morning. Your standards should not change that easily. This is why disciplined people often appear calm under pressure. They have already decided how they want to behave before pressure arrives. Start with one daily promise that is small enough to keep and important enough to matter. You might decide to wake up at a fixed time, complete your hardest task before entertainment, exercise for 20 minutes, or spend 30 minutes learning a useful skill. Do not choose 10 promises at once. One reliable commitment is more valuable than a long list that you abandon after 3 days. Your first goal is not impressive performance. Your first goal is consistency. Suppose you decide to study for 30 minutes every morning. On Monday you feel energetic and study for an hour. On Tuesday you feel tired and skip the session. On Wednesday you study for 40 minutes because you feel guilty. This pattern feels productive, but does not build reliability. A better approach is 30 minutes every day, including days when you would rather do something easier. This teaches an important lesson about confidence. Your mind watches your behavior. It notices whether your promises survive discomfort. Each time you follow through despite low energy, boredom, or distraction, you strengthen the belief that your decisions have authority over your impulses. That belief is more useful than temporary excitement because it remains available during difficult situations. Pay attention to the first hour of your day because it often reveals your level of personal control. Many people wake up and immediately give their attention to messages, videos, news, and other people's priorities. Before they have decided what matters, their attention has already been divided. A disciplined morning does not require a complicated routine. It requires choosing your first important action before outside demands take control. Prepare that action the night before. Put the required book on your desk. Prepare your clothes for exercise. Write down the task you need to complete. Remove unnecessary applications from your immediate view. These small preparations reduce the number of decisions you must make in the morning. Discipline becomes easier when the environment supports the behavior you want. One of the lesser-known parts of self-discipline is reducing unnecessary negotiation with yourself. Every time you tell yourself, "Should I do this now or later?" you create another opportunity to delay. Decide in advance. Exercise at a specific time. Study after breakfast. Review your work before sending it. Sleep at a reasonable hour. Clear rules reduce repeated internal arguments. You should also learn to recognize the difference between discomfort and danger. Many useful activities feel uncomfortable without being harmful. Studying can feel boring. Exercise can feel demanding. Public speaking can create nervousness. Difficult work can produce frustration. These feelings do not automatically mean you should stop. Often, they simply indicate that the activity requires effort. A practical exercise is to delay your response to mild discomfort by 5 minutes. When you feel the urge to stop studying, continue for 5 more minutes. When you want to check your phone during an important task, wait 5 minutes. When you want to abandon an exercise session, complete the next small set. You are training your ability to remain in control of your behavior after an uncomfortable feeling appears. This does not mean ignoring genuine exhaustion or health problems. Good discipline includes judgment. Rest can be the correct decision when your body needs recovery. The key is to distinguish planned recovery from convenient avoidance. A person who schedules rest is managing energy. A person who repeatedly calls avoidance rest may simply be escaping effort. Your schedule should therefore include both work and recovery. Decide what time you will focus, what time you will eat, what time you will exercise, and when you will disconnect. A clear structure protects you from spending your best hours on low-value activities. You do not need every minute planned. You need your most important periods protected. Another practical method is to complete your most important task before rewarding yourself with easy entertainment. This works because easy pleasure can reduce your willingness to begin difficult work. A short video becomes another video. A few messages become 20 minutes. A quick check of social media becomes an hour. Entertainment is not the enemy. Uncontrolled access to it is the problem. Create a simple rule. Important work comes first. Entertainment comes after the key responsibility is complete. Follow the rule, even when nobody knows whether you followed it. That private behavior is where self-respect develops, because you are proving something to yourself without needing an audience. Your physical environment also affects discipline more than many people realize. A cluttered desk creates visual interruptions. A phone beside your hand makes distraction easier. Snacks within immediate reach make impulsive eating easier. A television in front of your workspace makes focused work harder. You do not need extraordinary willpower to solve these problems. Change the environment. Put the phone in another room during focused work. Keep only the materials needed for the current task on your desk. Turn off unnecessary notifications. Make the desired behavior convenient and the unwanted behavior slightly inconvenient. A few seconds of extra effort can be enough to interrupt an automatic habit. You can apply the same principle to financial discipline. Decide how much money will be saved before deciding how much can be spent. Automate the transfer if possible. Record purchases for 30 days. You may discover that confidence around money does not come from earning more alone. It also comes from knowing where your money goes and making decisions before spending impulses appear. Discipline becomes much stronger when you measure behavior. Do not measure only outcomes, because outcomes can take months. Measure the actions that produce them. If your goal is better communication, record how often you practice speaking. If your goal is fitness, record completed sessions. If your goal is learning, record study time and completed lessons. These numbers show whether your behavior matches your intention. At the end of each day, review 3 things. Identify the commitment you kept. Identify the commitment you missed. Identify the reason you missed it. Be precise. I was lazy does not provide much information. I started watching videos before finishing my task gives you a specific problem to solve. The next day, change the behavior that created the problem. Do not use guilt as your main source of discipline. Guilt may create a short burst of effort, but it is unreliable over time. Clear standards work better. You know what you agreed to do. You know whether you did it. You know what needs adjustment. This turns personal development into a practical process rather than an emotional argument. Your confidence will also improve as your decisions become faster and cleaner. Indecision consumes attention. A person who repeatedly postpones small decisions trains themselves to remain uncertain. Set simple rules for recurring choices. Decide your exercise days. Decide your study period. Decide your work priorities before opening messages. Decide what time you stop working. These decisions create structure. There will be days when your discipline fails. Do not turn one missed commitment into permission to abandon the entire system. Correct the next decision. Missing one workout does not require missing the next 4. Spending too much money today does not require continuing the mistake tomorrow. The strength of discipline is not perfection. It is the speed of recovery. This is where confidence becomes visible in everyday life. You arrive prepared because you prepared earlier. You speak clearly because you practiced. You meet deadlines because you organized your time. You handle difficult work because you have trained yourself not to escape every uncomfortable task. Other people may call this confidence, but underneath it is repeated personal discipline. Start respecting small promises. Make your bed if that is part of your routine. Put your work materials away after finishing. Return the message you have been avoiding. Complete the task before moving to another one. Arrive 5 minutes early. These actions may look ordinary, but they develop a pattern of responsible behavior. Eventually, discipline reduces the need for constant emotional effort. You no longer ask yourself every morning whether you feel like doing the work. The decision has already been made. You simply begin. That is a major shift, because your energy can then be used for solving problems instead of negotiating with yourself. Build your confidence quietly through repeated action. Keep one promise today. Keep it again tomorrow. Increase the challenge only after the behavior becomes stable. Let your standards become part of your normal routine. Your confidence will become stronger because you will have evidence that you can direct your time, control your attention, manage your impulses, and complete what you decide to complete. The person who learns to govern ordinary days becomes much better prepared for difficult days. Personal discipline gives you that preparation. It teaches you to act according to your chosen standards rather than according to every passing feeling. Over time, that ability changes how you work, how you speak, how you make decisions, and how you see yourself. You do not need to prove that you are the best person in the room. Build the habits that allow you to become your strongest and most reliable version every day. Let your schedule show your priorities. Let your actions confirm your decisions. Let your consistency create the confidence that words alone cannot provide. Chapter 3. Strengthen your skills through constant improvement. Your value grows when your ability grows. Confidence becomes more stable when you know that you are improving at something useful. A strong attitude cannot replace weak skills. Respect yourself enough to become better at the things your life requires from you. Most people understand improvement as simply doing something more often. Practice matters, but repetition alone does not guarantee progress. You can repeat the same mistake for years. Real improvement requires attention, correction, and adjustment. You need to know what you are trying to improve, what currently limits your performance, and what specific change will make your next attempt better. Take communication as an example. Someone may speak every day for 30 years and still communicate poorly. Speaking frequently does not automatically improve clarity. A person who records a short explanation, listens to it, notices unnecessary words, and tries again, is practicing differently. The second person is studying performance rather than simply repeating behavior. Use this principle in every important skill. First, identify the exact ability you need, then break it into smaller parts. Practice one part deliberately. Get information about your performance. Make a correction. Repeat the process. This approach makes improvement measurable and prevents you from confusing activity with progress. Begin by choosing one skill that would make your current life better. Do not select a skill simply because it sounds impressive. Choose something connected to your responsibilities or future goals. Better writing can help at work. Better speaking can improve leadership. Better listening can improve relationships. Better financial knowledge can improve decisions. Better planning can reduce wasted time. Once you choose the skill, identify the level you currently have. Be honest without insulting yourself. You might discover that your writing is clear but too long. Your speaking may be confident but poorly organized. Your technical knowledge may be strong, while your ability to explain it remains weak. Specific weaknesses are useful because they tell you where to work. One of the most useful habits is keeping a skill journal. After each practice session, write down what you attempted, what went well, what caused difficulty, and what you will change during the next session. Keep the notes short. The purpose is not to create paperwork. The purpose is to make your learning visible. You will also learn faster when you study mistakes immediately after they happen. Memory changes quickly after an event. Right after a presentation, you remember where your voice became uncertain, where you lost your point, and where people looked confused. Write those observations down before the details disappear. Do not wait for a formal review to discover what went wrong. Become your own reviewer. After completing important work, spend 5 minutes inspecting the result. Ask what was clear, what was weak, and what would make the next version better. This small habit can create more growth than hours of passive learning. Another important principle is to practice at the edge of your current ability. Practice that is far too easy gives you comfort but little growth. Practice that is far too difficult can create frustration without useful learning. The productive level is challenging enough that you must concentrate, but manageable enough that you can identify and correct mistakes. For example, a person learning public speaking should not begin by trying to deliver a 1-hour speech to a large audience. Start with a 2-minute explanation of one idea. Record it, listen to the recording, improve the structure, then repeat it. Later, speak to one person. Then speak to a small group. The challenge can increase as ability improves. This gradual increase is important because skill development depends on exposure to difficulty. You need enough difficulty to discover weaknesses. You also need enough success to understand what good performance feels like. That balance keeps learning practical. Reading can also become more useful when you stop treating books as information collections. Do not measure your learning by the number of pages you finish. Measure it by what you can explain or apply afterward. After reading a useful chapter, close the book and explain the main idea in simple language. Then identify one action connected to that idea. This method exposes gaps in understanding. A concept can feel obvious while you are reading because the author is guiding your thinking. Once the book is closed, the weakness becomes visible. You may discover that you understood the words but not the principle. That discovery is valuable because it tells you what needs another review. Teaching someone else is another powerful way to test your knowledge. Explain a skill to a friend, co-worker, or even to yourself aloud. Avoid complicated language. Use a simple example. Notice where your explanation becomes unclear. Those weak points often reveal gaps in your own understanding. Do not become obsessed with collecting certificates, courses, or books. Credentials can be useful, but skill is demonstrated through performance. You can own 20 books about communication and still struggle to hold a clear conversation. You can complete a course about leadership and still avoid difficult decisions. Learning becomes valuable when it changes what you can do. This is why practical application should happen quickly. After learning a new method, use it within a day or two. If you learn a better planning technique, apply it to tomorrow's schedule. If you learn a negotiation principle, use it during your next appropriate conversation. If you learn a writing technique, revise something you actually need to send. Another lesser-known part of improvement is learning to tolerate temporary incompetence. Beginners often feel uncomfortable because their performance does not match their expectations. They may quit because they dislike looking inexperienced. That reaction prevents growth. Every advanced skill includes a period where you are visibly learning. Allow yourself to be a beginner without making it part of your identity. You are not bad at something simply because you are currently learning it. Your present performance is information. It tells you what to practice next. You should also become selective about feedback. More opinions do not necessarily produce better improvement. Ask people who understand the skill and can describe specific problems. Someone who has never written professionally may have an opinion about your writing, but their feedback may not help you reach a professional standard. Ask useful questions. What part was unclear? Where did I lose your attention? Which section could be shorter? What would make this easier to understand? What did I do that weakened the result? Specific questions produce specific information. Then resist the urge to defend yourself. Feedback is not an attack on your identity, it is information about a particular performance. You can accept useful criticism without accepting every opinion as truth. Examine the evidence and decide what deserves action. Your improvement should also include learning from people who are ahead of you. Observe how skilled people work. Notice what they do before, during, and after a task. Study their preparation. Study how they handle mistakes. Study how they organize information. Do not copy their personality. Learn their useful processes. You might notice that an excellent speaker prepares more than the audience realizes. A strong manager asks more questions before making decisions. A skilled writer removes unnecessary words during revision. A successful salesperson listens carefully before presenting an offer. Skill often appears simple from the outside because much of the preparation happens privately. Study the process behind the result. You should also develop the ability to identify high-value skills. Not every skill deserves equal time. Ask how often the skill is used, how much it affects your results, and whether improving it will create benefits in other areas. Communication, decision-making, emotional control, organization, and learning ability often influence many parts of life. This creates a useful rule: improve skills that improve other skills. Better reading can improve writing. Better listening can improve leadership. Better planning can improve discipline. Better communication can improve relationships and career opportunities. Look for skills with wide practical use. Avoid trying to become excellent at everything simultaneously. Divided attention slows development. Choose one major skill for focused improvement while maintaining basic standards in other areas. Give it regular practice for several weeks. Once the improvement becomes stable, move to the next important area. Track your progress through evidence rather than feelings. You may feel like you are not improving, even though your performance has changed significantly. Compare an older recording with a recent one. Compare an earlier project with a current project. Count completed practice sessions. Measure accuracy, speed, clarity, or quality depending on the skill. Visible evidence protects you from inaccurate self-judgment. There will also be plateaus. You may practice for weeks and see little obvious change. This does not always mean that your effort is useless. Sometimes the next improvement requires changing your method rather than simply adding more time. Ask whether you need better instruction, different practice, more difficult tasks, or more precise feedback. A plateau is often a signal to examine the process. Make improvement part of your normal day instead of treating it as a special project. Read for 15 minutes. Practice a skill for 20 minutes. Review one piece of work. Ask one useful question. Correct one mistake. These actions may appear small, but they create a learning habit that continues beyond periods of excitement. Your goal is not to know more simply for the sake of knowing more. Your goal is to become more capable. Learn something, use it, examine the result, and adjust your approach. That cycle can continue for years. There is dignity in becoming better at useful things. A person who can communicate clearly, solve problems, manage responsibilities, learn quickly, and remain teachable becomes valuable in many situations. These abilities create options. They also make you less dependent on circumstances because you can bring useful skills into changing environments. Keep raising the quality of your work. Not because you need to prove that you are superior to another person, but because your abilities determine what you can contribute. Respect yourself enough to study your weaknesses. Respect your future enough to practice. Respect other people enough to become more capable of helping, leading, communicating, and solving problems. Constant improvement does not require dramatic changes. It requires honest observation, followed by deliberate action. Learn one useful thing. Practice it. Test it. Notice the weakness. Correct it. Try again. Then repeat the process with a little more difficulty. Over time, your confidence will have a stronger foundation. You will not need to convince yourself that you are capable because your record will show it. You will have skills that were built through patient work, corrected mistakes, focused practice, and real application. Keep learning beyond the point where you become comfortable. Keep refining what already works. Keep studying the areas where your performance remains weak. Your abilities are not fixed measurements of who you are. They are results of what you practice, what you study, what you correct, and what you continue to do long after the excitement of starting has disappeared. Chapter 4. Stop comparing yourself and respect your progress. Comparison can quietly change the way you see your own life. You can have a good day and ruin it by looking at someone else's results. You can make real progress and still feel behind because another person appears to be moving faster. The problem is not noticing successful people. The problem begins when their progress becomes the standard you use to judge your own worth. Your life has different conditions, responsibilities, opportunities, skills, and starting points from everyone around you. Even two people with similar goals may have completely different circumstances. One person may have spent 10 years developing a skill, while another person has only started 6 months ago. Looking only at the visible result hides the years of preparation behind it. This is why comparison often produces inaccurate conclusions. You see someone's promotion, but do not see the years they spent developing their professional skills. You see someone's confident communication, but do not see the hundreds of conversations where they learned through mistakes. You see someone's financial success, but may know nothing about their decisions, responsibilities, risks, or sacrifices. A better way to evaluate yourself is to compare your current behavior with your previous behavior. Ask what you can do today that you could not do 6 months ago. Ask which habit has improved. Ask which mistake you understand better. Ask whether you respond differently to pressure. These questions give you information about your actual development instead of forcing your life into someone else's measurement. Progress is often difficult to notice because improvement happens in small changes. A person who used to lose an entire evening to distractions may now control their attention for an hour. Someone who once avoided difficult conversations may now speak honestly and calmly. A person who previously spent without planning may now track expenses and make deliberate choices. These changes may never receive public attention, but they have real value. Start keeping a progress record. Once a week, write down 3 things that improved. Keep them specific. Do not write that you became better. Write that you completed 4 study sessions, finished an important project earlier, handled criticism without becoming defensive, or saved a certain amount of money. Specific evidence makes progress easier to recognize. You also need to understand that progress and speed are different measurements. Moving slowly does not mean moving badly. Some goals require years because the skill involved is complex. A person learning a language, building a career, improving physical fitness, or developing emotional maturity cannot always see dramatic results every week. Expecting constant visible change creates unnecessary frustration. Give yourself a longer measurement period. Instead of asking every morning whether your life has changed, examine the direction over several months. Daily results can be affected by sleep, stress, unexpected responsibilities, and ordinary setbacks. Longer periods reveal patterns more accurately. Social media makes this especially important. You may see hundreds of successful moments before breakfast. Someone announces a new job. Someone shows a new home. Someone shares a business achievement. Someone posts a vacation. Your mind receives a collection of outcomes without the context behind them. If you consume this information without awareness, you can start judging your ordinary Tuesday against someone else's carefully selected moment. The practical solution is not to hate social media or avoid every successful person. Control how you use it. Notice how you feel after scrolling. If you regularly leave feeling inadequate, distracted, or impatient with your own progress, change the amount of time you spend there. Remove accounts that repeatedly trigger unhealthy comparison. Follow people who teach useful skills instead of only displaying results. Use other people's success as information rather than as a personal judgment. See what they are doing well. Identify the skill behind their result. Ask whether you can learn something from their process. Then return your attention to your own work. This shift can completely change your emotional response to successful people. Instead of feeling threatened by someone who performs well, you become curious. Instead of saying, "Why am I not there?" you ask, "What can I learn from how they got there?" Curiosity creates action. Envy often creates mental exhaustion without producing a useful next step. There is also a deeper reason comparison can become harmful. It encourages you to chase goals that do not belong to you. You may want a certain job because other people respect it. You may want more money because you want to look successful. You may want attention because you believe attention proves value. Yet after reaching the goal, you may discover that it does not improve the part of life that actually matters to you. Define success personally before measuring it publicly. Decide what a good life requires from you. It may include meaningful work, financial stability, strong relationships, physical health, learning, independence, or time with family. Your priorities should determine your measurements. Write down 5 areas that matter most to you. Then choose one measurable behavior for each area. If learning matters, track study sessions. If relationships matter, track meaningful conversations and time spent with important people. If financial stability matters, track saving and spending. If health matters, track sleep, exercise, or other behaviors relevant to your goals. This turns success into something you can manage. Respecting your progress does not mean becoming satisfied with poor performance. There is a difference between appreciation and complacency. You can recognize improvement while still raising your standards. A student can be proud of improving from 60 to 70% and still work toward a higher result. A professional can appreciate improved communication while continuing to develop it. Healthy self-respect says, "I am improving and I can improve further." It does not say, "I have improved enough, so I no longer need to learn." You should also stop using your past mistakes as evidence that you cannot change. Your previous behavior explains where you have been. It does not have to dictate what happens next. A person who was disorganized can learn structure. Someone who avoided responsibility can become dependable. Someone who struggled with confidence can develop stronger communication through practice. Look for behavioral evidence of change. Maybe you now pause before reacting. Maybe you finish tasks more consistently. Maybe you ask better questions. Maybe you recover from mistakes faster. These are signs of development, even if your external circumstances have not changed yet. Sometimes internal progress appears before external results. You may become more disciplined before earning more money. You may become more skilled before receiving a promotion. You may become calmer before other people notice a difference. Do not dismiss internal improvement simply because the reward has not arrived. At the same time, do not use personal growth as an excuse to avoid measurable results forever. Skills should eventually produce better performance. Better planning should improve execution. Better communication should improve understanding. Better financial habits should improve stability. Personal development is strongest when internal change produces observable behavior. A useful weekly review can connect these two sides. Ask what changed inside you and what changed in your results. Then ask which action caused the change. This helps you understand which habits are actually useful. You will also need patience with periods where progress seems invisible. A farmer does not inspect a seed every hour expecting a visible difference. In the same way, some personal changes require repeated practice before they become obvious. The important task is to continue checking whether your method is sound, rather than demanding immediate proof. Do not confuse patience with passive waiting. Patience means continuing useful action while accepting that results may take time. You still study, you still practice, you still save, you still improve your communication. You simply stop demanding that every effort produce an immediate reward. Another useful practice is celebrating completed behaviors instead of only final outcomes. You may not have reached your financial target, but you can recognize that you followed your spending plan for 30 days. You may not have mastered public speaking, but you can recognize that you practiced consistently. You may not have reached a major career goal, but you can acknowledge that you developed a new skill. This gives your brain a more accurate reward system. You learn to value the process that produces results, instead of becoming emotionally dependent on distant outcomes. Your language also matters. Replace statements like, "Everyone is ahead of me," with something measurable. Ask, "What specific area do I believe I am behind in?" Then identify the actual gap. Maybe you need more experience, maybe you need better training, maybe you need stronger time management. Once the gap is specific, you can create a response. Do not fight an imaginary problem. Define the real one. You can also create a personal benchmark. Choose a previous version of yourself as the reference point. Review your work from 1 year ago. Read an old journal entry. Look at an older project. Listen to an old recording. You may discover changes that were impossible to notice from day to day. That evidence can restore perspective. Your goal is not to become blind to other people's achievements. Learn to appreciate excellence without turning it into self-rejection. Someone else's success can coexist with your progress. Their opportunity does not erase your opportunity. Their ability does not cancel your ability. Their achievement gives you another example of what can be learned. Keep your attention on the next useful improvement. Improve one skill, correct one habit, complete one important responsibility. Strengthen one relationship, make one better decision, then continue. Your life becomes more peaceful when you stop asking whether you are ahead of everyone else and start asking whether you are becoming more capable, responsible, disciplined, and useful. That measurement belongs to you. It gives you something real to work on every day. Respect where you are without pretending that you have reached the end. Appreciate the distance you have already traveled without losing your desire to improve. Let other people walk their path without using their pace to judge your own. The strongest form of progress is not always visible from the outside. Sometimes it is the moment you handle a situation better than you did last year. Sometimes it is the decision to continue learning after an embarrassing mistake. Sometimes it is choosing your own priorities instead of chasing someone else's definition of success. Keep those moments, record them, learn from them, build on them. Your progress deserves attention because it is the evidence of what you are becoming. Chapter 5. Face challenges with courage and self-respect. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the ability to remain responsible while fear is present. Difficult situations reveal how well you can control your actions under pressure. You do not build courage by waiting for life to become easier. You build it by handling uncomfortable situations with clear judgment and self-respect. Every difficult situation contains two separate problems. There is the actual problem in front of you, and there is your reaction to that problem. You may not control the event, but you can often control your preparation, your words, your effort, and your next decision. Separating these two areas gives you a clearer mind when pressure becomes intense. Start by identifying what is actually happening. Do not immediately add predictions to the facts. Losing a job is a fact. Saying, "My career is finished," is a prediction. Receiving criticism is a fact. Saying, "Everyone thinks I am useless," is an interpretation. A difficult conversation is a fact. Saying, "This person will never respect me again," is a prediction. Learning to separate facts from assumptions prevents unnecessary fear. Write down the facts during a serious problem. Keep the language simple. What happened? What is still uncertain? What must be handled today? What can wait? Who needs to be informed? What action is available? This process reduces mental confusion because your attention moves from emotional noise towards specific responsibilities. Courage also requires accepting discomfort without immediately trying to escape it. Many people avoid challenges because they have trained themselves to seek comfort as soon as tension appears. They postpone the difficult conversation. They ignore the unpaid bill. They delay the medical appointment. They avoid asking for clarification at work. They leave an important task unfinished because it feels unpleasant. Avoidance provides temporary relief, but often increases the size of the problem. The message becomes harder to send. The conversation becomes more stressful. The deadline becomes closer. The financial issue becomes larger. This is why facing a problem early is often easier than facing the same problem after weeks of avoidance. Use a simple rule for manageable problems. Take the smallest responsible action as soon as possible. You do not need to solve everything in one moment. Make the phone call. Open the document. Ask the question. Gather the information. Schedule the meeting. Write the first paragraph. Small action breaks the pattern of avoidance. Self-respect becomes important because courage without judgment can become reckless behavior. You do not prove strength by accepting every challenge or entering every argument. Sometimes courage means walking away from an unnecessary conflict. Sometimes it means saying no. Sometimes it means admitting that you need help. Sometimes the strongest decision is to protect your time and attention instead of trying to impress someone. Learn to distinguish between discomfort that helps you grow and situations that damage your dignity or safety. A difficult conversation can be healthy. Constant humiliation is not something you need to tolerate to prove strength. A demanding project can develop your ability. Repeated exploitation should not be accepted as a test of character. Self-respect means knowing that your standards matter. One practical way to strengthen this quality is to establish personal boundaries before you need them. Decide what behavior you will accept and what behavior requires a response. Decide how you will handle repeated disrespect. Decide what commitments you can realistically make. Decide which responsibilities are yours and which belong to other people. Clear boundaries reduce emotional decision-making. You do not have to invent your response during a heated moment. You already know the standard you intend to follow. Another important skill is learning to stay physically calm during pressure. Strong emotions affect attention and judgment. Your heart may beat faster. Your breathing may become shallow. Your muscles may tighten. You may speak faster than normal. These reactions can make a problem feel larger than it actually is. Before responding to a difficult situation, slow your breathing and reduce your speaking speed. Put both feet firmly on the ground. Relax your shoulders. Take a few seconds before answering. This is not weakness. It gives your thinking system more time to process the situation before emotion controls the response. You should also practice difficult conversations before they happen. Write down the main point you need to communicate. Identify the behavior or situation you want to address. Decide what result you want. Then prepare 1 or 2 clear sentences. Avoid preparing a long speech, because real conversations rarely follow a perfect script. For example, instead of saying, "You never respect my time, and you always do this," describe the specific behavior. Say that the agreed deadline was missed and explain how it affected the work. Then state what needs to happen next. Specific language reduces unnecessary conflict because you are discussing an event rather than attacking someone's character. Courage improves when you stop making every difficult conversation personal. A disagreement about work does not necessarily mean a disagreement about your worth. A person rejecting your proposal does not automatically mean they reject you. A manager questioning your decision does not mean you are incapable. Keep the subject specific. This skill is especially useful when receiving rejection. Rejection can trigger embarrassment because people often interpret a result as an identity statement. You apply for a position and do not receive it. The useful response is not to decide that you are worthless. Examine the requirements. Identify what you lacked. Improve that area. Apply again when appropriate. Treat rejection as information whenever information is available. You also need to develop the ability to act without complete certainty. Many important decisions cannot be made with perfect information. Waiting for complete certainty can become another form of avoidance. Gather the facts you can obtain, identify the risks, decide what matters most, and choose the next reasonable action. After making the decision, monitor the result. If new information appears, adjust. Changing your decision after receiving better information is not weakness, it is responsible judgment. A strong person can also say, "I was wrong." Those words require courage because they challenge the desire to protect your image. Admit mistakes quickly when the evidence is clear. Explain what happened. Take responsibility for your part. Correct the damage where possible. Then identify what will prevent the same mistake from happening again. Do not spend hours punishing yourself after taking responsibility. Guilt has limited practical value once the lesson is clear. Correction is more useful. If you damaged trust, rebuild it through consistent behavior. If you wasted money, change the spending system. If you missed an important responsibility, improve the process that allowed it to happen. Your response after failure matters more than your ability to avoid every mistake. Another form of courage is asking for help early. Some people believe that needing assistance makes them weak. In reality, refusing help can create unnecessary damage. A skilled person knows the limits of their current knowledge. They ask questions before small problems become large ones. Ask for specific help. Explain what you already tried. Describe exactly where you became stuck. Then listen carefully. This approach shows responsibility because you are not asking someone else to solve your entire life. You are using available knowledge to improve your next decision. You should also challenge yourself gradually. Do not wait for a major crisis to test your courage. Practice in ordinary situations. Speak honestly about a small disagreement. Ask for feedback. Volunteer for a task that requires learning. Make a decision without seeking endless reassurance. Set a reasonable boundary. These experiences teach your nervous system that discomfort can be handled. As your experience increases, situations that once felt overwhelming may become manageable. Not because the world changed, but because your response became more skilled. Keep a record of difficult situations you handled well. Write down what happened, what you feared, what you actually did, and what happened afterward. This gives you evidence about your ability to cope. You may discover that many situations you feared were difficult but manageable. That record can become especially valuable during future setbacks. Instead of relying on vague memories, you can look at specific examples of your previous behavior. You have evidence that you can handle pressure, learn from mistakes, and recover after difficult experiences. Do not measure courage by how fearless you look. Measure it by whether you remain honest, responsible, and respectful during difficult moments. Anyone can appear confident when everything is going well. Character becomes easier to see when plans fail, criticism arrives, or uncertainty increases. You do not need to dominate a difficult situation. You need to remain useful inside it. Gather facts. Control your response. Protect your standards. Take the next responsible step. Learn from the result. This approach changes your relationship with challenges. Problems stop becoming proof that life is against you. They become situations requiring thought, action, patience, and correction. Some will be painful, some will take time, some will not end the way you want, but each one can teach you something about your preparation, judgment, communication, and ability to recover. Keep your dignity while doing difficult work. Do not insult yourself because you are struggling. Do not attack others because you are frustrated. Do not surrender your standards because the situation is uncomfortable. Stay clear about what happened, what matters, and what you can do next. Courage grows every time you meet reality without running from it. Self-respect grows every time you handle that reality without abandoning your values. Together, they create a person who can face pressure without losing control. The next difficult moment will not require you to become a different person overnight. It will require one clear decision, followed by another. Handle the fact in front of you. Speak honestly. Take responsibility for your part. Protect your boundaries. Learn what the experience teaches you. Then take the next step with a steady mind and a higher standard for yourself. Chapter 6. Speak with confidence and control your actions. Your words reveal how clearly you understand yourself. Confident communication does not come from speaking loudly or trying to dominate every conversation. It comes from knowing what you mean, choosing your words carefully, and controlling your behavior after you speak. A person who can manage both speech and action becomes much harder to confuse, pressure, or manipulate. Many people believe confident speakers are naturally fearless. In reality, strong communication is usually built through preparation and attention. A person may feel nervous before speaking and still communicate clearly because they know the point they want to make. Confidence becomes easier when your mind is organized before your mouth begins moving. Start with one simple habit. Before speaking about an important subject, identify your main point in one sentence. If you cannot explain the point simply to yourself, your listener will probably struggle to understand it. Take a moment to decide what you want the other person to know, understand, or do after the conversation. This prevents unnecessary talking. People often use extra words because they are searching for their point while speaking. They repeat themselves, add unrelated details, or change direction halfway through a sentence. Clear preparation reduces that problem. Know your main message first, then provide only the information needed to support it. Your speaking speed also affects how people experience your confidence. Speaking too quickly can make your message difficult to follow and can make you appear nervous even when your ideas are strong. Practice slowing down slightly. Finish one thought before starting another. Allow short pauses between important points. Silence is useful when it has a purpose. You do not need to fill every quiet moment. A pause can give you time to choose accurate words. It can also give the other person time to process what you said. Many people become uncomfortable with silence and start talking again before the conversation needs more words. Practice this during ordinary conversations. After making an important point, stop. Let the other person respond. Do not immediately add another explanation unless clarification is needed. Another important skill is listening without preparing your defense. People often appear to listen while secretly preparing what they will say next. Their attention is divided between the speaker and their own response. This creates misunderstandings because they miss details. Use active attention instead. Look at the person. Notice the exact words they use. Listen for the problem beneath the complaint. Then respond to what was actually said, rather than what you expected them to say. You can improve this by repeating the main point in your own words. Say that you want to make sure you understood correctly, then explain what you heard. This does not mean agreeing with the person. It means confirming the information before responding. Confident communication also requires learning how to disagree without becoming disrespectful. You can challenge an idea without attacking the person who presented it. Discuss the evidence, the reasoning, or the expected result. Keep personal insults out of the conversation. Instead of saying that someone is wrong, explain what part of the information you disagree with and why. If possible, provide evidence or an alternative approach. This makes disagreement more productive and protects your credibility. Your emotional control becomes especially important during conflict. Anger can make you speak in ways that damage relationships long after the original issue has disappeared. A harsh sentence may take 3 seconds to say and several months to repair. Create a personal rule for heated conversations. Do not respond at the highest point of anger. Take time to calm your body before continuing. You can say that you need a short break and will return to the discussion. This is not avoidance when you genuinely return to the issue. Control your volume as well. Raising your voice does not make your argument stronger. It often makes the other person focus on your emotional state instead of your reasoning. A controlled voice can communicate seriousness without creating unnecessary hostility. You should also learn to say no clearly. Many people struggle with confidence because they agree to things they do not want to do. They say yes because they fear disappointing someone, then become frustrated because they created a commitment they cannot manage. A respectful no can be simple. You do not need a long explanation. State that you cannot take on the request and give a brief reason when appropriate. Do not invent complicated excuses. The more unnecessary details you provide, the more opportunities you create for someone to negotiate your decision. This does not mean refusing every request. Consider the commitment carefully. Ask whether it fits your priorities, time, responsibilities, and ability. Then give a clear answer. Your actions must support your words. This is where many people lose credibility. They speak confidently about discipline, but repeatedly miss deadlines. They talk about honesty but hide mistakes. They promise to change, but keep following the same behavior. Over time, people stop trusting statements and start watching actions. Make your words more valuable by making fewer promises and keeping more of them. Before agreeing to something, check whether you can realistically deliver it. If you cannot, say so early. A clear limitation is better than a confident promise that you later break. This also applies to your relationship with yourself. Every promise you make privately teaches you something about your own reliability. Do not casually commit to routines you are unlikely to maintain. Choose realistic standards, then follow them consistently. Another useful communication skill is asking better questions. Strong questions can make you appear more thoughtful without requiring you to speak more. Instead of asking whether something is good, ask what problem it solves. Instead of asking whether a plan will work, ask what could prevent it from working. Instead of asking what happened, ask what caused the problem. Good questions improve your understanding before you make decisions. They also show respect because they demonstrate that you are interested in the other person's reasoning. People often respond positively to someone who listens carefully and asks relevant questions. Your body language matters as well, but do not turn it into a performance. Sit or stand comfortably. Keep your posture open. Make natural eye contact. Avoid constantly checking your phone while someone is speaking. These basic behaviors communicate attention. You do not need to copy the gestures of confident people. Your goal is not to perform confidence. Your goal is to remove behaviors that communicate distraction, fear, or disrespect. Before important conversations, prepare emotionally as well as mentally. Ask yourself what outcome you want. Decide which point cannot be compromised. Decide where you can be flexible. Think about how the other person may understand the situation. This preparation makes it easier to remain calm when the conversation develops in an unexpected direction. Do not enter every conversation trying to win. Enter with the goal of reaching a clear understanding or useful decision. Sometimes you will persuade someone. Sometimes they will persuade you. Sometimes both of you will discover that the original idea needs to change. Changing your position after receiving strong evidence is not weakness. It shows that your goal is accuracy rather than ego. Another important practice is controlling impulsive communication. Do not send an angry message immediately. Do not post something simply because you are frustrated. Do not make a public statement while emotions are high. Give yourself time to read the message again. A useful rule is to write difficult messages, wait, and reread them before sending. Remove insults. Remove exaggerations. Remove unnecessary accusations. Keep the facts and the request. This small delay can prevent serious problems. Your reputation is built through repeated communication patterns. People notice whether you are reliable, calm, clear, respectful, and consistent. One impressive speech cannot compensate for months of careless behavior. Your everyday conversations matter more than occasional moments when you try to appear confident. Practice speaking clearly with people who feel safe enough to give honest feedback. Ask them whether your explanation was clear. Ask where you became confusing. Ask whether you spoke too quickly. Use their observations as information for practice. You can also record yourself speaking for 2 minutes each day. Choose one simple topic and explain it without preparation. Listen afterward. Notice repeated words, unclear sentences, weak openings, unnecessary details, or changes in speed. Then record the same explanation again with one improvement. This creates measurable communication practice. Your actions deserve the same attention. Before reacting to an emotional situation, create a short pause. Ask what action will produce the result you actually want. You may feel like sending an angry message, but your real goal may be to solve a problem. You may want to walk away from a responsibility, but your real goal may be to finish the project and protect your reputation. This pause gives your values a chance to guide your behavior. Over time, people will notice a difference. You will not need to announce that you are confident. Your communication will become clearer. Your decisions will become more deliberate. Your promises will become more reliable. Your reactions will become less impulsive. That is real control. It does not mean controlling every person or every situation. It means managing your own words, attention, emotions, decisions, and behavior. Speak because you have something useful to communicate. Listen because understanding is necessary before judgment. Pause because emotional reactions can create unnecessary damage. Act according to the standards you claim to respect. Your confidence becomes credible when your speech and behavior agree. People may forget individual conversations, but they remember patterns. Become known for clear words, controlled reactions, thoughtful decisions, and dependable action. That reputation is built one conversation and one decision at a time. Chapter 7. Raise your standards and demand more. Your results rarely rise above the standards you repeatedly accept. A person may want better work, stronger relationships, greater responsibility, and a more organized life, yet continue accepting habits that produce weak results. The problem is often not a lack of desire, it is the absence of clear personal standards that define what is acceptable and what needs to change. A standard is different from a wish. A wish says you want something better. A standard defines the behavior you are willing to maintain. Saying you want to become more professional is vague. Deciding that you will arrive prepared, meet agreed deadlines, check your work, and communicate early about problems creates a standard that can guide your behavior. Start by examining what you currently tolerate. Look at your workspace, schedule, spending, communication, commitments, and relationships. Ask where you repeatedly accept behavior that you already know is below your ability. Do not search for dramatic problems first. Ordinary patterns often reveal the biggest gaps. Maybe you regularly arrive late because you leave home without enough time. Maybe you submit work without checking obvious mistakes. Maybe you keep postponing important learning because entertainment is easier. Maybe you allow people to interrupt your priorities throughout the day. These behaviors become normal when they happen repeatedly, and anything repeated long enough can start feeling acceptable. Raising your standards begins with making the unacceptable visible. Choose one area where your current behavior is clearly below what you expect from yourself. Define the new standard in observable terms. Do not say you will work harder. Decide that you will complete your highest priority task before unnecessary entertainment. Do not say you will be more organized. Decide that you will prepare tomorrow's priorities before ending each workday. Specific standards create specific behavior. You should also understand that higher standards require higher preparation. Expecting excellent work without improving your skills, planning, or resources is unrealistic. If you want better results, identify what the result requires. A higher standard is not simply demanding more from yourself. It is becoming capable of meeting the demand. Suppose you want to become a stronger communicator. You cannot simply demand that your communication improve. Study clear writing. Practice listening. Organize your ideas before speaking. Ask for feedback. Review important conversations. Your standard becomes meaningful because your behavior supports it. The same principle applies to work. If you expect yourself to deliver high-quality results, create time for checking the work. Do not wait until the deadline has passed to discover errors. Build review time into the process. Quality requires attention before submission. One reason people lower their standards is that they fear discomfort. A higher standard usually requires saying no to something easier. You may need to wake earlier, study after work, stop spending carelessly, have an honest conversation, or reject distractions. The decision may be uncomfortable because the old behavior has been convenient. Do not judge the standard by how comfortable it feels. Judge it by whether it produces the kind of life you want. At the same time, avoid setting standards so extreme that they cannot survive ordinary life. A standard should challenge you without being disconnected from reality. You need sleep. You need recovery. You need time with people who matter. You need flexibility for unexpected events. High standards should improve your life rather than create unnecessary exhaustion. Demand more from your choices, not simply more hours from your day. One practical method is to create a minimum standard for important areas of life. Decide the minimum amount of effort you will maintain even during busy periods. You might study for 15 minutes on difficult days instead of skipping learning completely. You might exercise briefly when a full session is impossible. You might review your finances once a week, even during a demanding month. Minimum standards protect consistency during difficult periods. Then create a higher target for normal days. This gives you flexibility without allowing temporary difficulty to become permanent neglect. You are not required to perform at maximum intensity every day. You are required to protect the behaviors that keep your life moving in the right direction. Your standards should also apply to how you treat other people. High personal standards are not permission to become harsh or demanding toward everyone around you. You can expect honesty without insulting people. You can require reliability without humiliating someone who made a mistake. You can protect your time while remaining respectful. Strong standards create clarity, not arrogance. You should also raise your standard for what information you allow into your mind. The quality of your decisions depends partly on the quality of the information you repeatedly consume. If most of your attention goes toward anger, gossip, distraction, and shallow entertainment, you should not be surprised when concentration becomes difficult. Choose information that improves your understanding. Read useful books. Study reliable material. Listen to people who explain practical ideas. Learn from people with real experience. Limit content that repeatedly leaves you distracted or emotionally exhausted without giving you anything useful. Your environment should support the standards you want to maintain. A person who wants to read more should keep a book nearby. Someone trying to reduce unnecessary phone use should move the phone away during focused work. Someone trying to eat more carefully should make better food choices easier to access. Do not make every improvement depend on willpower. Another powerful area is the standard you set for finishing things. Many people begin with enthusiasm but leave important tasks incomplete. Their attention moves to something new before the current responsibility is finished. This creates mental clutter and weakens trust in their own ability to complete commitments. Create a rule for important work. Define what finished means before you begin. If you are writing a report, finished may mean written, checked, and submitted. If you are studying a chapter, finished may mean reading, taking notes, and answering practice questions. Clear definitions prevent the mind from declaring victory too early. Your standard for preparation should also increase. Before an important meeting, review the subject. Before a difficult conversation, identify your main points. Before starting a major project, understand the required outcome. Preparation reduces avoidable mistakes and increases your ability to respond calmly. People often call someone confident because that person appears relaxed under pressure. What they do not see is the preparation that happened earlier. Raise your standard for honesty with yourself. Stop using attractive explanations for weak choices. "I had no time" may actually mean that you did not protect the time. "I forgot" may mean that you had no reliable reminder system. "I was not motivated" may mean that your routine depends too heavily on emotion. Accurate language helps you solve accurate problems. This does not mean blaming yourself for everything. Some events genuinely fall outside your control. The purpose is to identify the part that belongs to you. Once you know your responsibility, you can improve the process. You should also raise your standard for recovery after mistakes. Do not expect yourself never to fail. Expect yourself to respond responsibly after failure. Admit the error. Fix what can be fixed. Identify the cause. Change the process. Continue. A higher standard does not mean demanding perfection. It means refusing to treat repeated avoidable mistakes as normal. Look carefully at the people you respect. Their strength may not come from extraordinary talent. You may notice that they prepare thoroughly, keep their word, protect their attention, learn continuously, and take responsibility quickly. These behaviors are available to ordinary people. Study the behavior behind the result. Then choose one behavior to adopt. Your standards should also influence your use of time. Time is one resource that cannot be recovered after it is spent. Track your day for 3 days without trying to change anything. Record where your time actually goes. You may discover that your stated priorities receive less time than low-value activities. This information can be uncomfortable, but it is useful. Move time toward what matters. Reduce activities that produce little value. Protect periods for important work. Stop allowing every request to become an emergency. Demand more from your attention, because your attention determines what gets done. Another important standard is learning to finish what you start before adding unnecessary commitments. Too many unfinished projects create a constant feeling of being behind. Choose fewer priorities and give them enough attention to reach completion. You should also raise your standard for your physical surroundings. A clean and organized environment will not solve every personal problem, but it can reduce unnecessary friction. Put important items where you can find them. Remove things that repeatedly distract you. Prepare your workspace for the task you need to perform. Small order can support better decisions. Do not wait for other people to raise the quality of your life. Your standards are your responsibility. A manager may never demand that you develop a new skill. A friend may never tell you to improve your financial habits. Nobody may notice that you spend too much time distracted. You still have the ability to choose a higher personal standard. The real test comes when nobody is watching. Your standards become part of your character through repetition. Each time you refuse to submit careless work, you reinforce quality. Each time you protect your time, you reinforce priority. Each time you keep a commitment, you reinforce reliability. Each time you correct a mistake instead of hiding it, you reinforce honesty. Raise the standard gradually. Choose one area. Define the behavior. Create a system that supports it. Measure your actions. Review the results. Adjust when necessary, then move to another area. Do not demand more merely because you want to feel superior. Demand more because you understand that your behavior shapes your future options. Better standards create better decisions, and better decisions create better results over time. You are allowed to expect more from yourself. You are allowed to become more disciplined, more skilled, more organized, more reliable, and more thoughtful. You do not need to become perfect to raise your standards. Start with what you already know is below your ability. Correct it today. Protect the improvement tomorrow. Keep building from there until higher quality behavior becomes normal rather than exceptional. Chapter 8. Learn from everyone without feeling inferior. Every person you meet knows something you do not know. That does not make them more valuable than you, and it does not make you less capable. It simply means their experience contains information that may help you grow. Mature confidence allows you to learn from someone without feeling that you have lost your own position. Many people struggle with this because they connect knowledge with personal worth. A person speaks better than them, earns more money, has more experience, or holds a higher position, and suddenly they feel smaller. Their attention moves away from learning and toward protecting their ego. They become quiet when they should ask questions, or defensive when they should listen. Separate knowledge from human value. Someone can be better than you at a specific task without being better than you as a person. A senior employee may understand the company better because they have been there longer. A skilled mechanic may know more about engines. A talented speaker may communicate ideas more effectively. These differences are useful facts, not personal insults. Once you understand this, learning becomes easier. You can look at another person's ability without creating a negative story about yourself. You can say, "This person has experience I need," and then pay attention. That simple mental shift protects your confidence while opening your mind to education. Start treating ordinary conversations as opportunities to collect useful information. Ask people how they learned what they know. Ask what mistakes they made early. Ask which habits helped them improve. Ask what they wish they had understood sooner. These questions often produce more practical knowledge than asking someone to give you general advice. Listen for processes rather than impressive stories. Someone may tell you about a successful business, a promotion, a difficult project, or an important achievement. Do not focus only on the result. Ask what happened before the result. What did they practice? What did they change? What did they stop doing? How did they respond when the first approach failed? The process is usually more useful than the achievement itself. You can learn from people above you in experience, but you can also learn from people who are younger, newer, or less experienced. A person does not need a long career to teach you something valuable. Someone may understand a new technology better than you. Someone younger may communicate with a different audience more effectively. A new employee may notice a problem that experienced workers have stopped noticing. Do not let status decide whether information deserves your attention. This requires intellectual humility. Intellectual humility does not mean believing that you know nothing. It means being honest about the limits of your knowledge. You can be highly skilled in one area and inexperienced in another. Admitting the difference allows you to learn faster. Use a simple sentence when you do not know something. Say, "I do not understand that yet." The word "yet" matters because it keeps the situation open. You are describing your current knowledge, not defining your permanent ability. Another powerful habit is asking someone to demonstrate rather than simply explain. If a person has a useful skill, watch how they perform it. Observe the order of their actions. Notice what they check before starting. Pay attention to small details they handle automatically. A skilled person may not even realize which details are important because experience has made them automatic. Watching the process can reveal information that a verbal explanation misses. Take notes after important conversations. Write down one useful idea, one practical technique, and one question you still have. This turns casual interaction into deliberate learning. Without notes, useful information can disappear within a few days. You should also learn how to ask questions without feeling embarrassed. Many people stay confused because they fear appearing inexperienced. They nod during a conversation even though they do not understand the subject. Later, they make mistakes that could have been prevented by one simple question. A clear question is often a sign of seriousness. You can say, "Can you explain that part another way?" Or, "What should I understand before trying this myself?" These questions show that you care about doing the work correctly. Do not ask questions simply to appear interested. Listen carefully to the answer and use it. People notice the difference between genuine curiosity and empty conversation. Learning from others also means accepting correction without surrendering your judgment. Someone can teach you something useful and still be wrong about another subject. You do not need to accept everything from a person simply because they are successful. Evaluate information, check facts, test methods, compare results, keep what works. This is especially important around confident personalities. Some people speak with great certainty even when their knowledge is limited. Do not confuse confidence with accuracy. Listen carefully, then examine the evidence. You can respect someone's experience without copying their entire life. This principle protects you from another common mistake. People sometimes admire successful individuals so strongly that they copy visible habits without understanding the reason behind them. A business owner may work long hours because of a particular stage in the company. Copying those hours without understanding the situation may damage your own responsibilities. Study principles, not appearances. Ask what problem the person's behavior solves. Ask whether the same approach fits your circumstances. Then, adapt the lesson instead of copying the surface behavior. You should also become comfortable being the least experienced person in a room. This can feel uncomfortable because your knowledge becomes more visible. Instead of trying to prove that you belong, focus on learning what you came there to learn. Prepare before entering the room. Know the subject. Bring questions. Listen carefully. Contribute when you have something useful. You do not need to speak constantly to demonstrate intelligence. In fact, thoughtful silence can improve your learning. You hear more when you are not planning your next statement. There is another practical benefit to learning from different people. Exposure to different working styles can reveal weaknesses in your own approach. You may discover that someone organizes information better than you. Another person may handle conflict more calmly. Someone else may plan projects more efficiently. Do not respond with jealousy. Turn observation into a personal experiment. Try one method for a week. Measure the result. Keep it if it helps. Modify it if necessary. This makes learning practical instead of passive. You should also learn from people who have failed. Failure contains information that success sometimes hides. Someone who lost money can teach you about poor decisions. Someone who damaged a relationship can explain what they misunderstood. Someone who struggled with a career choice can show you warning signs. Listen without judging. You do not need to experience every mistake personally to learn from it. At the same time, avoid treating another person's failure as entertainment. Study the cause with respect. Ask what decision led to the result. Ask what warning signs were ignored. Ask what could have changed the outcome. This approach develops judgment. Learning from everyone does not mean allowing everyone to influence you. Some people should be listened to carefully and followed rarely. You can learn what not to do from someone whose behavior creates constant problems. You can learn the cost of poor communication by observing someone who repeatedly creates conflict. Every person can provide information. Not every person should become a model. Your confidence becomes stronger when you understand this distinction. You no longer need to prove that you know everything. You can enter a conversation ready to learn. You can accept useful instruction without feeling defeated. You can ask for help without feeling weak. You can disagree without becoming defensive. This creates a calm form of confidence. At the end of each week, identify 3 people you interacted with and write one thing each person taught you. The lesson does not need to be dramatic. Someone may have shown you a faster way to organize a task. Someone may have demonstrated patience during a difficult situation. Someone may have introduced you to a useful resource. Then choose one lesson to apply. Knowledge becomes part of you through use. A notebook full of good ideas does not change your life unless those ideas affect your behavior. Take what you learn and put it into practice. You will eventually notice an important change. You stop entering rooms asking whether people will respect you. You start entering rooms asking what you can understand, contribute, and improve. Your attention becomes less concerned with rank and more concerned with growth. That is not insecurity, it is strength. You can sit beside someone with greater experience and remain comfortable with yourself. You can learn from their expertise without placing yourself beneath them. You can appreciate what they have built while continuing to develop what you are building. Keep your self-respect while keeping your mind open. Listen carefully, ask better questions, observe skilled behavior, study mistakes, test useful ideas, keep your judgment. The goal is not to become like everyone you admire. The goal is to become wiser because you were willing to learn from the people life placed around you. Chapter 9. Prove your worth through consistent daily results. Your real value becomes visible through what you repeatedly produce. Words can describe ambition, talent, intelligence, and potential, but results give those qualities practical evidence. You do not need to announce your importance to other people. Build work that solves problems. Keep commitments that matter, and allow your daily performance to speak through facts. A result does not always mean a major achievement. It can be a completed assignment, a useful conversation, a finished lesson, a solved customer problem, a clean financial record, or a task completed before its deadline. The size of the result matters less than the reliability behind it. Consistent small results create a reputation that occasional bursts of effort cannot create. Start by defining what a useful result means in your current responsibilities. Many people work hard without knowing exactly what they are trying to produce. They remain busy throughout the day and still reach the evening without completing anything important. Activity can feel productive while producing very little value. Before beginning your work, identify the outcome. Do not simply write, "Work on the project." Write what must exist when you finish. It might be a completed report, a reviewed document, a finished design, 5 customer calls, or a prepared presentation. Clear outcomes make it easier to direct your attention. Your day should contain a small number of important outcomes. Too many priorities create divided attention. Choose the tasks that have the greatest effect on your responsibilities and give those tasks your strongest periods of concentration. This requires learning to separate urgent work from valuable work. An incoming message may feel urgent because it appears immediately on your screen. A long-term project may be more valuable even though nobody is asking about it today. If you spend your entire day reacting to incoming requests, important work can remain unfinished. Protect time for meaningful output before the day becomes crowded. One useful practice is to begin with a result that requires concentration. Put your phone away. Close unnecessary applications. Tell people when you are unavailable if your work allows it. Set a defined period for focused effort. During that period, work on one outcome instead of switching between unrelated tasks. Task switching creates hidden costs. Each time you move from writing to messages, then to a video, then back to writing, your attention needs time to reconnect with the original problem. The individual interruptions may appear small, but repeated interruptions can reduce the quality and speed of your work. Create periods where your attention belongs to one task. You should also develop a habit of finishing. Starting many things creates the feeling of progress without the benefit of completed work. A person can have 10 open projects and still have nothing ready to deliver. Completion turns effort into something useful. Before starting another major task, ask whether the current task is genuinely complete. If it is not, identify what remains. Sometimes you need more information. Sometimes you need to revise. Sometimes you simply need to stop switching and finish. Quality matters as much as completion. Producing something quickly does not automatically create value. Check important work before delivering it. Look for errors. Confirm numbers. Read instructions again. Make sure the final product solves the problem it was supposed to solve. A 5-minute review can prevent an hour of correction later. Your reputation grows through reliability. People learn whether they can depend on you by observing what happens after you make a commitment. Do you deliver when you said you would? Do you communicate early when something changes? Do you remember important details? Do you correct mistakes without being forced? You can strengthen reliability by keeping a visible commitment list. Record what you promised, who is waiting for it, and when it is due. Review the list at the start and end of each workday. This simple system reduces the chance that important responsibilities will disappear from memory. Do not make commitments casually. Before saying yes, check your actual capacity. You may want to appear helpful, but accepting more work than you can complete damages your credibility. A clear no can protect your ability to deliver the commitments you already made. Results also depend on recovery. A person who works intensely for 3 days and then becomes exhausted for the next 4 is not necessarily more productive than someone who maintains a steady pace. Sustainable performance requires sleep, breaks, food, movement, and periods without demanding mental work. Rest is part of maintaining output quality. This does not mean using rest as an excuse to avoid responsibility. It means understanding that your physical condition affects attention, memory, patience, and decision-making. Protecting basic recovery helps you produce better work consistently. Another important habit is measuring your output instead of only measuring time. You can work for 8 hours and produce very little. You can spend 2 focused hours solving a difficult problem and create significant value. Track what you completed, not just how long you were present. For a writer, output might be finished pages. For a salesperson, it might be qualified conversations. For a student, it might be completed practice problems. For a manager, it might be resolved issues or completed decisions. Choose measurements that reflect actual contribution. You should also review your results each week. Ask what you completed, what remained unfinished, what caused delays, and which activities produced little value. Look for patterns rather than isolated events. Perhaps your work is consistently delayed because you underestimate how long tasks take. Add more realistic time estimates. Maybe messages interrupt you throughout the morning. Create a specific period for communication. Maybe you start projects without understanding requirements. Ask clarifying questions before beginning. Results improve when the process improves. Do not wait for someone else to point out every weakness. Develop your own quality check. Before delivering important work, ask whether it meets the required standard. Then, ask whether one additional improvement would make a meaningful difference. Avoid endless perfectionism. The goal is not to keep changing finished work forever. The goal is to deliver something accurate, useful, and appropriate for the situation. There is also a difference between being busy and being useful. A person can attend many meetings, answer hundreds of messages, and still contribute very little to the main goal. Learn to ask what each activity produces. If a meeting has no clear purpose, question whether your presence is necessary. If a report is never used, examine why it exists. If a repeated process wastes time, look for a better method. Improvement often begins with questioning unnecessary work. Your worth is not determined by how exhausted you become. It is better measured by the usefulness, reliability, and quality of what you contribute. This is particularly important if you want leadership responsibility. Leaders are trusted because they produce dependable outcomes and help others produce them as well. If you want greater responsibility, start demonstrating that you can handle your current responsibilities without constant supervision. Do not wait for a new title to behave responsibly. Prepare before the opportunity arrives. You can also build a personal record of completed results. Keep copies of strong projects, successful outcomes, useful feedback, and measurable improvements. This record helps you recognize your development and gives you concrete evidence when evaluating your career. It can also reveal which types of work you perform especially well. Another valuable practice is learning to communicate progress before people become worried. If a project is going well, provide appropriate updates. If a problem appears, communicate early. Do not hide difficulties until the deadline is close. Early communication gives other people time to respond. It protects relationships because surprises are often more damaging than problems themselves. You should also become comfortable taking responsibility for outcomes. Do not blame every poor result on circumstances. Sometimes circumstances genuinely create difficulty, but ask what part of the result you could have influenced. Better preparation, clearer communication, earlier action, or stronger review may have changed the outcome. This question improves your future performance because it gives you something to adjust. Your daily results should also include personal responsibilities outside work. Keep your living space manageable. Handle financial obligations on time. Maintain important relationships. Follow through on commitments. Develop your health habits. A successful professional life cannot fully compensate for constant disorder everywhere else. Choose a few areas and create simple, measurable behaviors. Then track them without drama. You will make mistakes. You will miss deadlines occasionally. You will produce work that needs correction. The goal is not to create a perfect record. The goal is to become increasingly reliable and increasingly capable of correcting problems. A person who consistently delivers useful work becomes difficult to ignore. They do not need to demand recognition because their contribution is visible. People begin trusting them with more important responsibilities because previous responsibilities were handled well. This is how confidence and reputation grow together. You know what you can do because you have evidence. Other people know what they can expect because they have seen your behavior. Do not spend your energy trying to convince everyone that you are valuable. Use that energy to become more useful. Complete the work. Improve the quality. Solve the problem. Keep the promise. Communicate clearly. Review the result. Learn from what happened. Your daily actions are creating a record whether you pay attention to it or not. Make that record stronger through deliberate work. Let today's performance become evidence for tomorrow's opportunity. You do not need extraordinary results every day. You need meaningful results often enough that people can trust your pattern. Consistency creates credibility. Credibility creates opportunity. Opportunity gives you more responsibility. More responsibility gives you more chances to develop. Build that cycle through your daily work. Measure what matters. Finish what you begin. Protect your attention. Deliver what you promise. Improve the process when results are weak. Maintain your energy so performance can continue. Let your work answer the question of what you are capable of. Let your reliability answer the question of whether people can trust you. Let your progress show that you are serious about becoming better. That is how worth becomes visible without constant explanation. Chapter 10. Lead yourself with confidence and purpose. Self-leadership begins the moment you stop waiting for someone else to organize your life. You can receive advice, learn from experienced people, and accept useful guidance, but your direction remains your responsibility. A confident life is built by making deliberate choices about what deserves your time, attention, effort, and character. Purpose becomes practical when it influences ordinary decisions. Many people describe purpose as a huge life mission, but daily purpose is often much simpler. It means knowing what matters enough to deserve your effort today. Your purpose can guide how you work, how you treat people, what you learn, what you refuse, and what kind of person you are becoming. Start by identifying the responsibilities you cannot afford to neglect. Write down the areas that matter most to you. Your work may matter, your relationships may matter, your education may matter, your financial stability may matter, your health may matter. Then ask which of these areas currently receives enough attention and which one is being neglected. This exercise can reveal an uncomfortable truth. People often say something matters while their schedule shows something completely different. Someone may claim that learning is important while spending most evenings watching entertainment. Someone may say family matters while constantly checking work messages during conversations. Someone may value financial stability while making repeated unplanned purchases. Your calendar gives useful evidence about your priorities. Do not judge yourself harshly when you discover a mismatch. Use the information to make better decisions. Choose one important area and give it a defined place in your day or week. A priority that never receives scheduled attention is usually only an intention. Self-leadership also requires deciding what you will not pursue. Every yes consumes some amount of time, attention, money, or energy. You cannot accept every opportunity and still give your best effort to the responsibilities that matter most. Learn to evaluate opportunities before accepting them. Ask what this will require, what it will produce, and what it will prevent you from doing. A good opportunity can still be wrong for you at the wrong time. This is where confidence becomes useful. A person who trusts their own direction can say no without needing everyone to understand the decision. You do not need to explain every personal priority to every person who questions it. Your purpose should also influence the people you become close to. Relationships affect behavior through repeated exposure. You learn communication patterns, attitudes, expectations, and habits from the people around you. Choose relationships where honesty, respect, responsibility, and growth are possible. This does not mean avoiding everyone who struggles. People need support during difficult periods. It means noticing whether a relationship repeatedly pulls you away from the person you are trying to become. You should also take responsibility for your emotional habits. You cannot control every feeling that appears, but you can become more selective about which feelings determine your actions. Anger may appear before you choose your response. Fear may appear before you make a decision. Disappointment may appear after an unexpected result. Give yourself space between emotion and behavior. During that space, ask what action matches your values. This question can prevent many unnecessary mistakes. You may feel angry, but choose a respectful conversation. You may feel afraid, but complete the necessary task. You may feel disappointed, but review the situation and continue improving. Self-leadership means allowing emotions to provide information without allowing them to become the sole decision-maker. Your personal standards also need regular review. A standard that helped you 6 months ago may need adjustment now. Perhaps your responsibilities have increased. Perhaps your skills have improved. Perhaps your priorities have changed. Growth requires reviewing your rules rather than following them mechanically. Once a month, examine your routines. Ask what is working, what is wasting time, what needs to be removed, and what deserves more attention. This creates a personal management system that changes as your life changes. You should also make decisions according to principles instead of constantly deciding from scratch. Choose a few rules that simplify important areas. You might decide that you do not make major financial purchases without waiting a day. You might decide that important conversations happen directly rather than through long messages. You might decide that unfinished work receives attention before unnecessary entertainment. Simple principles reduce decision fatigue. Another part of self-leadership is managing your attention. Modern life gives you more information than you can process. Messages arrive throughout the day. Notifications interrupt concentration. News changes constantly. Entertainment is always available. Without deliberate control, your attention can become divided before you notice. Choose specific times to check messages. Turn off unnecessary alerts. Create periods where your phone is not within immediate reach. Give demanding work your full attention when possible. Your ability to focus is a leadership skill because every important goal requires sustained attention. You also need to protect time for thinking. A person who is constantly occupied may have little opportunity to examine whether they are moving in the right direction. Schedule quiet periods where you can review decisions, plan upcoming responsibilities, and consider what needs improvement. 10 quiet minutes can be enough to notice a problem that has been ignored for weeks. Write down important decisions. Record why you made them, what information you used, and what result you expect. Review them later. This creates a personal decision history. Over time, you will discover patterns in your judgment. Perhaps you make rushed decisions when tired. Perhaps you avoid decisions when too many people are involved. Perhaps you spend too much time collecting information after you already know enough. Recognizing these patterns improves future judgment. Leading yourself also means taking responsibility for your mistakes without allowing them to control your identity. A poor decision is something to examine. It is not a permanent definition of who you are. Look at the cause, identify the lesson, and change the behavior. The most valuable response to failure is often a process change. If you repeatedly miss appointments, improve your reminder system. If you forget commitments, create a reliable record. If you overspend, change how money is accessed. If you procrastinate on difficult work, begin with a small scheduled action instead of waiting for motivation. Solve repeated problems at the system level. Purpose also becomes stronger when you connect daily work with a larger reason. Ask why the responsibility matters. A boring task may support financial stability. Learning a difficult skill may create future opportunities. Taking care of your body may improve your ability to work and support others. Preparing carefully may protect people who depend on your decisions. Understanding the reason behind an action can increase your willingness to perform it. You should also define what success means before other people define it for you. Public recognition can be pleasant, but it is not a reliable measure of a meaningful life. Decide what you want your days to contain. Decide which relationships deserve your attention. Decide what kind of work makes you feel useful. Decide which behaviors would make you respect yourself more. Then build your schedule around those decisions. Do not wait until your life becomes perfectly organized before acting with purpose. Leadership happens through ordinary choices. You decide what to do with the next hour. You decide how to respond to an unexpected problem. You decide whether to keep a commitment. You decide whether to learn from feedback. Those decisions accumulate. You should also become someone who can change direction without losing confidence. Purpose does not mean refusing to adapt. New information can change a responsible decision. A career path may no longer fit. A project may need to be abandoned. A goal may become unrealistic. Changing course after careful evaluation can be a sign of maturity. Do not confuse stubbornness with commitment. Commitment means staying devoted to what matters while remaining willing to change the method. If one approach fails, examine another. If a plan produces poor results, revise it. If new evidence appears, consider it seriously. Your leadership also becomes visible in how you treat people while pursuing your goals. Do not use confidence as permission to become arrogant. Listen to others. Give credit, admit mistakes, keep your promises, speak respectfully even during disagreement. A person who can direct themselves without needing to control everyone else has stronger leadership potential. You can practice this every morning with 3 decisions. Identify the most important result for the day. Identify the behavior that could distract you from it. Identify the quality you want to demonstrate while doing the work. That might be patience, accuracy, courage, or reliability. At night, review the result. Did you complete the important work? What distracted you? Did your behavior match the quality you chose? What will you change tomorrow? This creates a daily leadership cycle. Decide, act, review, adjust. Do not underestimate how powerful that cycle becomes over months and years. You become more aware of your behavior. Your decisions become more deliberate. Your priorities become clearer. Your confidence becomes connected to evidence rather than appearance. There will always be people with more experience, more resources, stronger networks, or different opportunities. That reality does not prevent you from leading yourself well. You do not need control over the entire world to take responsibility for your own direction. Lead your attention, lead your schedule, lead your decisions, lead your reactions, lead your learning, lead your commitments. Your purpose should be visible in your behavior. If growth matters, make time to learn. If excellence matters, review your work. If relationships matter, give people your attention. If independence matters, develop useful skills. If responsibility matters, do what you said you would do. The strongest confidence comes from knowing that your life is being directed intentionally. You may not control every result, but you can control the quality of your preparation, the honesty of your choices, and the seriousness of your effort. Keep building yourself through deliberate decisions. Choose what matters, remove what repeatedly distracts you, improve what is weak, protect what is valuable, adapt when reality changes. You do not need to wait for someone to recognize you before you take yourself seriously. Your direction becomes clearer through action. Your character becomes stronger through responsibility. Your confidence becomes more stable through experience. Lead yourself well enough that your daily behavior reflects the person you want to become. Let your decisions show your priorities. Let your conduct show your values. Let your work show your commitment. Your life is shaped by repeated choices, and you are responsible for making those choices with awareness, courage, and purpose. Never forget this. Nobody is above you, and you are not above anyone else. Your goal is not to prove that you are better than people. Your goal is to become better than the person you were yesterday. Respect yourself enough to keep learning. Trust yourself enough to make decisions. Discipline yourself enough to follow through. Speak with confidence. Raise your standards. Face difficult moments without losing your self-respect. Let your daily actions show what you are capable of. You will meet people who have more experience than you. Learn from them. You will meet people who doubt you. Stay focused. You will experience failure. Study it. You will have days when your confidence feels weak. Keep doing the work anyway. Real confidence is built through evidence. Every promise you keep, every skill you improve, every difficult task you complete, and every responsible decision you make gives you another reason to believe in yourself. So do not walk through life looking for permission to feel worthy. Build your worth through your character, your discipline, and your actions. And remember this message the next time you enter a room where someone seems more important than you. Stand calmly, listen carefully, learn openly, speak clearly, know your value. Keep improving, keep learning, keep showing up. Because the strongest person in the room is not always the loudest person. It is often the person who knows who they are and continues becoming better without needing anyone's approval. Come back to this message whenever you need to reset your mindset. There will always be another level to reach, another skill to develop, and another version of yourself waiting for your effort.